Hi Alfie, hi Bella, hope you're well, hope you had a good sleep. It's story time today and we have a special guest appearing, so look out for that, it's coming soon. Today I'm going to read you a story from the Storytime book from Enid Blyton. This storybook is 45 years old, so really old stories coming up. And today's story is called I Don't Want To. Hope you're sitting comfortably. Hope you're sitting on the couch or sitting on the floor so you can pay attention. You might need a cushion, but get comfortable. Okay, here we go. Once upon a time, there was a little girl called Fanny. She was 8 years old and had been spoilt. She had been ill quite a lot, and because her mother had been sorry for her, she'd let Fanny have her own way far too much. Whenever she asked Fanny to do something she didn't like, the little girl would say,
I don't want to.
And would pout and frown. Will you go and post this letter for me? Her mother would say, and Fanny would make the usual answer.
I don't want to.
Well, if you say a thing like that often enough, you just can't stop. And soon, Fanny was saying,
I don't want to.
100 times a day.
100?
What a spoilt child, people said. Really, she is most unpleasant. Her granny spoke sternly to her. Fanny, she said, I don't like this habit you have of saying
I don't want to
everything. Do try and stop.
Stop what? I don't want to,
said Fanny at once. Well, well, what can you do with a child like that? Now, one day, Fanny went across the fields and took a wrong turning. Soon, she found herself outside a queer little house. A well stood nearby, and an old woman was turning the handle that drew up the bucket of water. She saw Fanny and beckoned her over. Little girl, come and help me get to this water.
I don't want to,
said Fanny at once. The old woman frowned. She wound up the bucket and took it off the hook and set it down. You could carry it for me into the house, she said. I'm rather tired today.
I could, but I don't want to,
said Fanny, of course. Well, what a horrid child, said the old dame. You can't seem to say anything else but...
I don't want to.
Can't you say something pleasant for a change?
Don't want to,
said Fanny. Very well. Don't, said the old woman. Say...
Don't want to.
And nothing else. Maybe you will soon want to change. And with that, she went up the path to her cottage, opened the door, went inside and shut the door after her. Fanny felt a bit frightened.
Not really.
She remembered that the old woman had green eyes. Perhaps she was one of the fairy folk.
Ooh.
She ran off and soon found her path. She went back home and on the way she met Jane, a school friend. Fanny, come and play with me after tea and see my new doll, cried Jane.
Don't want to,
said Fanny, much to her own surprise, because she did want to, very much indeed. Jane had told everyone at school about her new doll, which could stand up by itself and say, Mama. All right, don't come in then, said Jane, offended. I'll ask Mary. Fanny walked home upset. Her mother met her at the door. Fanny dear, go and get yourself some sweets before you come in, she said. You didn't have your Saturday sixpence last week, so go and spend it now.
I don't want to,
said Fanny, and made her mother stare in surprise. Fanny stared at her mother too. She hadn't meant to say that. She loved sweets and it was fun to go and buy them.
Oh.
She wanted to say, I do want to, But all her tongue said was,
I don't want to.
once again. My dear child, if you don't want to, you needn't, said her mother. How tiresome you are sometimes. I'll give you a sixpence to John next door instead.
No!
Fanny walked up to her bedroom almost in tears. She passed the cook on the way. I'm making cakes, said cook.
I want bacon and eggs.
Come along down and scrape the dishes out, Miss Fanny. Now, this was a thing that Fanny simply loved doing. And I know a little boy that likes doing that too, don't I, Alfie? But, as you can guess, all her tongue would answer was,
I don't want to.
well, I thought it would be a treat for you, said the cook, offended. And she marched downstairs with her head in the air. Poor Fanny. This was a dreadful day for her. It seemed as if everyone was offering something nice for her to do. And all she could say was,
Don't want to.
in the end, everyone was cross with her. And Mother sent her to bed. Go up to bed and stay there, said Mother.
I'd really prefer not to.
Not the exact words.
I don't want to.
said Fanny. But she had to go all the same. Now, when she was in bed, crying under the clothes, there came a tap at the door. And who should come in but the old woman who'd been at the well.
Good old Green Eyes.
Good evening, she said to Fanny. How have you been getting on with that tongue of yours? Wouldn't it be nice to speak properly again? Fanny couldn't answer because she knew that if she did, her tongue would say,
I don't want to.
and she did badly want to speak properly again. Very, very badly.
Not really.
Well now, said the old dame, I'll make a bargain with you. If you try to be a nice little girl and will not be spoilt and rude, I will make your tongue right again. But I warn you that if you say,
Don't want to.
more than once a day, the spell will come back again and you'll find you can't say anything else but that.
Well, that's just wrong. I've had enough.
What Fanny actually said was,
Thank you.
said Fanny.
I'm really sorry that I've been so rude and I'm a little bit spoiled, to be fair. And I'm sorry about that. I can't really see what I'm reading, but it's working anyway.
You won't be rude or spoilt anymore, will you, Fanny?
No, I don't want to.
That's the way to talk, said the old dame, and she smiled. Goodbye. Come and see me another day, and maybe your tongue will say something nicer to me than...
I really don't want to.
Well, Fanny found it quite hard to get out of her bad habit. But as she knew quite well that the spell would come back if she said,
I don't want to.
more than once in a day, she was very, very careful. The spell hasn't come back, so maybe she'll be all right now. She is trying to find the old woman's cottage again to tell her that she has cured herself. I wish I could go with her. I'd like to see the old dame's green eyes twinkling at me.
Oh, they're horrid.
Wouldn't you?
No, I don't want to.
That's the end of today's story. We hope you enjoyed it. With lots of love from me, Auntie Debbie. And
Love
Uncle
you.
Sean.
I've had enough.
See ya.
Beauty, mate.